Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have for you something that I've never tested before. I've never tested a Zeiss lens before. So I've borrowed one from Photo and Video in Mirrorless here in Christchurch, New Zealand. So thank you guys for lending me this beautiful Zeiss lens to test out. Now I'm testing it out on both a Nikon DSLR, this is the D7000, and also the Panasonic Lumix S5, the original S5, not the S5 II. Now this Zeiss lens is a 50mm F1.4 Planar lens, and it's all fully manual. Aperture ring on it, sure you can see that. From f1.4 to f16 and half stops. It weighs in at 328 grams, and it's fully metal build, made in Japan, I believe by Cosina. From the information I'll be able to find out on the internet, it's not a made in Germany lens, it's made in Japan lens, and it's beautifully made. It's the focus ring is smooth as butter, and it's very easy to focus on mirrorless camera. However, on the D7000, I was finding it difficult to nail the focus on this. Now, they do have a focusing aid in the bottom of the viewfinder. There's a couple of little green arrows that point in either direction, and you move the focusing ring. Get this lens off. So you move the focusing ring either way, and then you get a little green dot in the middle. And that is supposedly when you nail the focus and the focus point that you've got selected on screen, I believe. But I've had a few missed focus images with the Nikon. I had more success with the Panasonic. The Panasonic, being mirrorless, it has better focusing, manual focusing aids on it. So you've got focus peaking for a start, and then you've also got, unlike on this Panasonic, you've got, what I've done is I've set the joystick. When you press it in, it magnifies the central part of the image, and now you can move that box around to put it into a different part of the image. That helps you to nail focus. But that is a brilliant tool for nailing focus on a mirrorless camera. So I was able to get a few more sharp shots with the Panasonic S5 than I did with the Nikon. But that in itself probably comes down to a bit of lack of experience from my part on manually focusing on DSLRs. I've not really done very much at all over the past 20 odd years. I've used a few manual focus lenses before, but they've generally been on a mirrorless camera like Fuji, Nikon and Panasonic. I really haven't done much in terms of manual focus lenses on DSLRs, so I'm not very experienced in that regard. But yeah, come back to the Zeiss lens. So it does come with a metal lens hood. I find that this lens hood is a little bit, hear that? It's a little bit loose on the mount there. Open up to f1.4, you'll be able to see that aperture as it closes down to f16. I love that you're able to see the aperture in these old lenses. Now I've got it on a Nikon to L mount adapter. It's by K&F Concept. There's no electronic contacts in it. It's just no glass, no contacts on either end of it. It's just a dumb adapter. But it at least allows me to use manual focus lenses, Nikon F-mount lenses on the Panasonic. And yeah, you can see it's a beautiful piece of glass in there. 58mm filter thread, 9 straight aperture blades. There's nothing much to grab a hold of to twist it onto the mount on your camera or to the adapter. The aperture ring is right at the end of the lens. You've got a very thin strip of metal in the middle that you can hold on to turn the manual focusing ring there, or the aperture ring. See, there's not really much to hold on to like mount it onto your camera. But yeah, beautiful piece of glass. I shall show you some images taken on both cameras in a minute. I really like the lens. Would I buy it? Yes, I would, if I didn't have a 50mm lens already. I do have a Panasonic 50mm F1.4 lens, which is autofocus as well. So if, like I say, if I didn't have a 50mm, yes, I would definitely pick this up. It gives a very good image from f2.8 onwards. And I found it really easy to focus on with the Panasonic S5. It was just so easy. Even with there's one shot of a moving tram, 1/1000th of a second, it should be sharp, but also having to focus as well on a moving tram makes just a little bit more difficult with the manual focus lens. Autofocus lens, it would lock onto the subject pretty quickly. But I found overall that I could easily get sharp shots with this lens handheld. And most, I think, yeah, all of the shots that I've taken on the Panasonic were handheld. The ones on the Nikon, the majority of them were on a tripod. There was one handheld shot, which I'll run through in a minute. So with that out of the way, I'll put some images up on screen and we'll have a look at them, and I'll run you through what my thoughts are with the images. So the first image I took on the Nikon was of this little fern. Now it was in the middle of the fern. The little fern was unfurling, and I adjusted the focus according to the display in the viewfinder of the Nikon. So the little green dot appeared in the middle. So, and this was on a tripod as well. So took the photo. It looked a little bit soft in the middle of that fern, but once I put it into Luminar, just added a touch of sharpness to it, it brought it out a little bit better. It's not quite focused on the middle part of that unfurled fern, but the rest of it is quite sharp. So this next image, I had it on the tripod, but the ground was a little bit soft underneath these trees, and there was a lot of like leaf litter and stuff like that. So I think, pushing the shutter button down actually moved the camera a slight bit, but it looked sharp enough until I zoomed in on the image. But yeah, it's just a little bit a little bit of motion blur. Now this next photo of the reeds, in camera on the back of the screen, it looked sharp. Zoomed in to it, it didn't look too bad, but the screen's not that high resolution on the Nikon. So once I put it into the computer, and you can see there was a little bit of softness, but added a bit of sharpness in Luminar, and bang, it brought it out a lot better, which to my eyes it looks a bit more acceptable now than it did straight out of camera. So this next image was handheld. As we're walking around the gardens, there was this flower from Kauai tree, I think it was. And this beautiful red flower stood out to me, so I just stood there, handheld it, and took a shot with without the tripod, see if I could get it sharp enough. And sure enough, this came out pretty sharp, which I'm really pleased with that, because it's a nice looking flower, and it's a nice looking image from, in my mind anyway. You tell me what you think in the comment section below, whether you like the images or not. Now the next two images, I had it on a tripod, these tiny little white flowers. Now the first one, as you see, there's some softness in the image. It's not really super sharp. So I'm showing you some of the good and the bad from these cameras. Now there's a bit of purple fringing, chromatic aberration around the leaves of the little flower there. But the next shot at f2.8 has better sharpness and less purple fringing on it. So even though it's not super sharp, I didn't quite nail the focus on that, but it's much better than that first one. Now moving on to the Panasonic S5. Now this was taken on my table at home of my cap that I normally wear on my videos. Now focused in the middle of the cap, used focus peaking, and as you can see the fabric looks really sharp in the middle of the image. The rest of it's blurred out, of course. But now all the following images were taken at f2.8. Now this was taken in the art centre in Christchurch here in New Zealand. It's a sculpture of a dandelion with all like the little seed pods flying off, like you see out in nature. But this is all done in metal, which was quite fascinating. The sculpture, how it was done. But taking the photo, that's pretty sharp. All I've done is just lightened the photo up a little bit. It was just a little bit on the darker side, so I've just adjusted the exposure a little bit on pretty much all of these images anyway. The next one is this wacky sort of creature made of copper, and yeah, it looked really cool. That statue looked really cool. But as you can see, the image is nice and sharp. The next one, in the same place. The art centre is quite cool, with all the buildings and some different art pieces placed around the place. But just testing it on some of the buildings and the foliage and stuff like that as well. Now this next one is the observatory. Now there's an observatory up the top of that building, and it's very slightly soft, but in my mind acceptable. Until you bring it up to 100%, and then you see there's a slight little softness. I did tweak the sharpness a little bit in Luminar, so but it hasn't made a huge difference to it. I haven't really gone too aggressive with the sharpening. This next shot of a moving tram, like I said just before, getting a sharp photo with a manual focus lens is tricky enough, but using a fast shutter speed certainly helps. So I think that was about a 1,000th of a second. This next one, I was sitting on one of the park benches in Victoria Square, and just looking over my shoulder there at the daisies. So I thought, I'll take a photo of them. So I focused on that middle flower, right in the very middle. So I think it's come up really well, and that was taken fairly close and about half a metre or so away from the flower. Now this next one was some flowers overhanging the Avon River, and so again at about 1,000th of a second, flowers were moving a little bit in the wind, but with that fast shutter speed and nailing the focus, it comes up really well. I like the shot. The next one is of the fountain at the town hall, and we took a few photos there, my wife and I. She was using the Panasonic S5 with the 28-200, so that video will be coming up soon on the channel. So we'll be testing that out properly. So far, found that the images coming out of that 28 to 200 are really, really good. They're nice and sharp, and it's very, very stable at the long end at 200mm. So yeah, so hope you stay tuned to see that upcoming video. But back to these. I'm going to put up a couple of video clips I did with this Zeiss 50mm on the Panasonic as well, of the fountain at the town hall. So yeah, there we have it. I hope you like the images I took with the Zeiss 50mm lens, and my thoughts on the lens. I certainly like it. Is a manual focus lens. I certainly like this lens. It's so much nicer than some of the other manual focus lenses I've tried over the past years. Like I say, this is the first time I've tried a Zeiss lens, and I can see why people love Zeiss quality optics. It is very, very nice. So there we have it. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you stay tuned for more upcoming videos on this channel to do with Panasonic and Nikon and whatever else I find. So with that, I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.